In February, travel agencies announced that Western tourists were allowed to visit North Korea for the first time since the 2020 pandemic lockdown. The 5-day tours to Rason, a remote city 800 kilometers northeast of Pyongyang, were strictly monitored. Tourists had to follow a set itinerary, were constantly accompanied by guides, and were forbidden from speaking to locals alone or criticizing the regime. Despite these restrictions, many later shared their experiences online, highlighting the surreal nature of life in North Korea, where blue jeans are banned and intranet replaces the internet, and state-controlled propaganda dominates daily existence. Pyongyang, home to over 3 million, is restricted to government officials, party members and privileged workers. By March, all tours were abruptly suspended. The reasons remain unclear, with speculation ranging from leader Kim Jong-un's dissatisfaction with online exposure to potential health concerns. Last year, the first foreign tourists admitted were Russians, with around 880 visiting in 2024, according to South Korea's Unification Ministry. Before the pandemic, approximately 300,000 Chinese tourists visited annually, providing North Korea with essential income. The absence of Chinese visitors suggests a growing alliance between North Korea and Russia, evidenced by reports that 10,000 North Korean soldiers are fighting for Moscow and that the regime is supplying vast quantities of arms. Christianity once flourished in Korea. At the turn of the 20th century, revival movements led to 300,000 conversions. However, persecution intensified under Japanese rule and later the Kim dynasty. Kim Il-sung's mother was a Presbyterian deaconess, and he attended a Christian school. Yet, upon taking power in 1948, he brutally repressed religion. Worshipping anyone above the Kim family became forbidden, and today North Korea is considered the world's most dangerous place for Christians. It is estimated that 1.6% of North Korea's 26.5 million people are Christian, with more than 1.5% being evangelical. According to the World Watch List, North Korean Christians face extreme persecution, classified as enemies of the state. If discovered, they risk execution or lifelong imprisonment in brutal labor camps. Despite this, faith persists. Eric Foley, CEO of Voice of the Martyrs Korea, told Stephen Morales on the YouTube program Radical that Christianity in North Korea is growing. In 2000, few had seen a real Bible. By 2020, over 8% had laid eyes on one. Estimates suggest between 100 and 400,000 believers exist, with 70 to 80,000 in prison camps. Foley says he has known Christians in North Korea who have died for their faith despite knowing only a few verses and a few stories from the Bible. They treasure it as holy and know they can rely on it completely, Foley shared. God is withholding no good thing from them, and in the light of eternity, they experience God in ways that we could never imagine, because we are so easily distracted by all the other stuff that we thought we needed to have. A friend of INcontext, who visited North Korea 3 times before 2020, recounted his experience. He went as a tourist, praying and seeking to understand the plight of Christians. They were allowed to take their own Bibles, but were regularly checked to ensure that they still had it with them. If North Koreans are caught with a Bible, 3 generations will be punished or most likely killed. In Pyongyang, people must bow before giant statues of the Kim leaders and display their portraits at home. Kim Jong-un's statue has not yet been erected, but they are regarded as holy, the father, son and grandson. He shared that at the end of their last visit, they walked across the bridge back into China and turned to wave to their guides. The guides cried as they waved goodbye. The reality dawned on him that they are trapped, many being disillusioned, yet unable to voice their thoughts. Poverty and food scarcity are rampant, while billions are spent on weapons. They met a man who escaped to a safe house where he encountered Jesus. He later returned to share the gospel with his family, only to discover his father had secretly been a Christian for years. Faith in North Korea is incredibly precious. It is the Lord who builds it, not people. During the visit, they also experienced how communion can be shared without bread and wine. You have to see it in your mind's eye, and also what quiet worship looks like. They worship God with the words on a screen and sing for an hour or more, but no sound escapes their lips. These experiences were holy and life-changing for our friend. Such encounters demonstrate that even though Christians visiting North Korea as tourists cannot physically participate in ministry activities, their presence and prayers still have an effect on the people they meet. We hope that whatever caused the suspension of tourism will be resolved so that Christian tourists may once again enter North Korea. Brother Andrew once said, "Our prayers can go where we cannot. There are no borders, no prison walls, and no doors that are closed to us when we pray." Please join us in prayer. Pray for the North Korean church that believers remain courageous, strong in faith, and wise in sharing the gospel. Pray for Christians in prison camps that they feel God's presence despite their suffering. Hebrews 13 verse 3 reminds us, "Remember those in prison as if chained with them, and those who are mistreated as if you yourself were suffering." Pray for Kim Jong-un and his regime, that the seed sown by his great-grandmother will bear fruit and that the nation will one day be transformed by Christ's love.